Welcome back. Okay, let's just dive straight into an age-old football debate today. What actually matters more? Having a pitch full of world-class superstars or having an absolute master tactician standing on the touchline? Because, the recent, frankly shocking contrast between Portugal and England gives us just the absolute perfect case study. In today's Explainer, we're going to look really closely at how coaching can literally elevate a decent team to greatness or, on the flip side, completely drag down a golden generation. Right, so to kick things off, we've got to address the massive elephant in the room following Portugal's deeply frustrating draw against DR Congo. The debate that is just raging everywhere online right now is this. Is Cristiano Ronaldo holding Portugal back? You hear it all the time. Is his lack of pressing or, not tracking back hurting the team's overall fluidity? Look, when a squad with this much raw attacking talent just totally fails to fire, it's natural to point fingers at the biggest star in the room. But as we'll uncover as we go through this, focusing solely on Ronaldo, it completely misses the bigger picture. There's actually this brilliant phrase floating around that describes this exact phenomenon. Paper lions destroyed on the pitch. And that perfectly captures our central theme today. You can have a squad literally packed with Champions League winners, guys who are absolute, unquestionable superstars for their club teams. But if they step out there without a cohesive system, they just collapse. They look incredible on paper, but out on the grass, they are completely disjointed. It really begs the question, why do great players suddenly look so incredibly average the second they put on their national team shirt? Well, that brings us right to the core concept we're unpacking today, which is the manager effect. Think about it like a giant puzzle. Take someone like Vincent Kompany stepping into PSG recently and just totally transforming that squad. Under the right coaching, players who honestly seemed like lost causes, guys like Ousmane Dembele, Dayot Upamecano, or Luis Diaz, they're suddenly unlocked. They hit entirely new levels. A great coach maximizes exactly what you have. But a poor coach, they take those world-class superstars and just minimize their impact, making them look totally ineffective. And we literally just saw this play out in real time. We had two incredibly distinct matches recently that perfectly highlight this manager effect. On one side, you have England under their brand new manager, Thomas Tuchel, pulling off this super exciting, dynamic win over a very experienced Croatia side. And then on the other side, you have Portugal under Roberto Martinez basically sleepwalking into a disjointed tactical disaster against DR Congo. The contrast in how these two identically talented squads were deployed is just night and day. So let's break down exactly what Tuchel got right first. Okay, so what exactly did Thomas Tuchel do to spark England's dynamic transformation? Well, Tuchel clearly truly understands his players' profiles. Instead of that boring, pragmatic football England is historically so known for, he implemented this highly vertical style. We saw aggressive line-breaking passes completely replacing that endless, sluggish, sideways passing. He built this beautifully balanced midfield trio, Declan Rice, Elliot Anderson, and Jude Bellingham, which totally freed Bellingham to just physically dominate as a box-to-box presence. Throw in a relentless high press led by Anthony Gordon, and England generated something like 7 to 8 big chances. That's roughly 3.0 expected goals. Every single player knew their specific role. There's a perfect little anecdote from that match that proves Tuchel's brilliance. Take Noni Madueke. He's a guy who constantly gets bantered online, right? Frequently labeled as a one-dimensional or limited player. But what actually happened under Tuchel's system? Madueke was totally unleashed. He was arguably a man-of-the-match contender, just constantly tormenting the Croatian defense with dangerous runs. Tuchel didn't ask him to be someone he isn't. He put him in a role that completely maximized his specific strengths, proving once again that a top manager can make an average player look absolutely lethal. Now hold on to this number for a second. 200. That is the sheer amount of goal contributions. We're talking 168 goals and 32 assists that Harry Kane has recently racked up in just under 200 matches for Bayern Munich and England. That is an insane statistic. It feels like something only Messi or Ronaldo produce. But it perfectly highlights the point. When a world-class striker is placed inside a highly functional, well-designed tactical system that actually plays to his strengths, the output is historically great. System and coaching are quite literally everything. Right, so keep that highly tuned machine in your head, and now let's look at the absolute tactical disaster we got from Portugal. Roberto Martinez seems to be doing the exact opposite of Tuchel. Against DR Congo, Portugal's buildup was just unbelievably slow, sluggish. It was just endless, mind-numbing, sideways passing with zero line-breaking vision. And worse, Martinez had Bruno Fernandes, arguably one of the best creative midfielders on the planet, playing way, way too deep, almost like he was stuck in a defensive setup. Add in these atrocious set-piece deliveries and floaty little crosses that were effortlessly headed away by DR Congo center backs, and you just have a total tactical failure. It completely minimizes the talent of guys like Bernardo Silva, Vitinha, and João Neves. To really put this into perspective, let me tell you a crazy story to frame just how bad Portugal's attacking output actually was. So Spain recently drew against Cape Verde, and in that match, Cape Verde's goalkeeper Vitinha became an overnight sensation. He made like 5 or 6 incredible acrobatic saves to secure the draw. His performance was so heroic that his Instagram following skyrocketed from 500 followers to 10 million followers, literally overnight. He was tested relentlessly by Spain, and he totally answered the call. So with that fresh in your mind, do you happen to know the name of the DR Congo goalkeeper who faced this supposedly lethal, star-studded Portuguese attack? No? Well, there's a good reason for that. Because he had to make exactly 0 saves in 90 minutes. Not one. Portugal, a team loaded with some of the best attackers in the Premier League and the Champions League, managed 0 shots on target. They didn't test the keeper a single time. That is a truly staggering failure of attacking design. Now, to be totally fair, we absolutely have to give DR Congo their flowers here. They executed this brilliant low block and entirely pocketed Portugal's attack. Chancellor Mbemba was an absolute rock leading that backline, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka was basically a brick wall at right back. They didn't just survive, they completely shut down incredibly talented players like Pedro Neto and Rafael Leon, who couldn't even manage to take their men on one-on-one. DR Congo just sat deep, absorbed the non-existent pressure, and honestly looked like the more dangerous team on the counter. Which throws us right back to the million-dollar question. How on earth does a team with this much undeniable quality play such terrible, uninspiring football? I mean, look at Portugal's midfield on paper. João Neves, Vitinha, Bruno Fernandes. That is arguably the best midfield going into the entire World Cup, maybe only rivaled by Spain. These guys are Champions League winners. And yet, they look like a group of complete strangers who had no clue what it meant to break down a low block. How does that even happen? Well, the answer is kind of staring us in the face when you compare the track records. If you want to win a World Cup, just look at the pedigree of the guys running the show for the top contenders. France has Didier Deschamps, a literal World Cup winner. Brazil has Carlo Ancelotti, a guy with 5 Champions League titles. Spain has Luis de la Fuente, who built this cohesive system dominating from the youth setups all the way to winning Euro 2024. And then you look at Roberto Martinez for Portugal, his major achievements, getting relegated with Wigan and completely wasting Belgium's historic golden generation. The gap in managerial pedigree is just massive. So, zooming back out to Cristiano Ronaldo for a second. The old saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility. And yeah, it is totally fair to question Ronaldo's lack of pressing or him not dropping deep to link up play. That's a completely valid, even if uncomfortable, conversation to have. But it is mathematically and logically impossible to blame just one player, even someone like Ronaldo, when the entire team is failing. When Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, and Vitinha all look terrible at the exact same time, the problem is not the man wearing the number 7 shirt. So what's the actual real root cause here? Well, it's simple. 0 identifiable style of play. Are they a pressing team, a possession team, a counterattacking team? Literally nobody knows. There's this stubborn refusal by the manager to adapt his tactics when faced with a low block. Players are being jammed into roles that just don't suit them, totally minimizing their immense club form. Ultimately, Roberto Martinez's rigid and uninspired approach is actively wasting a squad that absolutely has the talent to win the whole thing. So, boiling down this whole explainer, we land on this brilliant summation. It's a broader problem for Portugal than Ronaldo. Roberto Martinez is the problem. The evidence is right there on the pitch for all of us to see. You just cannot have this much creative quality, this much raw talent, and fail to register a single shot on target unless the overarching system is deeply, fundamentally broken. The manager has failed to build an identity, and he is totally failing to unlock the superstars at his disposal. Which leaves us with a pretty wild, but absolutely necessary question. If Roberto Martinez isn't showing any signs of changing his tactics, is it time for Portugal to make a drastic move? With the World Cup approaching fast and this golden generation's window slowly closing, do they need to just pick up the phone and call Jose Mourinho right now before it's too late? It honestly might be the only way to establish a real identity and save their World Cup dreams. Let me know what you guys think of that idea, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.